Hey guys, and welcome back to the Nicola Collective Podcast with your hosts Emilio
and Olivia Nicola.
and we're going to talk about the enemy of excellence, why perfectionism is a distraction.
And what are some practical steps we can do to help combat the urge to be perfect and just start moving into what you're called to do.
When you think of perfectionism, you think perfection. You think, Jesus was perfect. You think that he's perfecting us. Now, we're not talking about that. We're talking about the absolute of I need to be perfect in everything or else it's bad. Now, perfectionism can sound like excellence and it can sound holy, it can sound responsible, but is it really? Is it really just, distraction wrapped up in fear? Is it something that's holding you back rather than letting you move forward? Because what you could be asking yourself or what you could be saying is, oh, well, it's just not ready. My project's not ready. The website's not ready. The whatever you're doing is not ready. But what it really is I'm afraid that someone's not going to like it. I'm afraid that, in some cases, God's not going to like it. I'm afraid,
that doesn't look good enough
exactly.
Or something.
The key element is I'm afraid.
Well, I think there's also too, if you there is something to doing things in excellence, but not just in it doesn't have to be completely perfect. It doesn't have to be completely 100% all together. I think a lot of the times that's what trips us up into not starting, and then we just get into a spiral of okay, now I didn't do this good enough, I didn't do this good enough, and now I gotta just restart it, basically.
Yeah, and one thing that we're talking about, because we always talk about doing everything in excellence, right? Doing everything to the highest caliber that you have, the best degree that you can do.
Yeah.
Now, excellence doesn't mean that you are going to be the best of the best all the time. There's typically always going to be someone better at something than you are, unless somehow you really are the world champion of something. But chances are you're not. Anyway, we're talking about how excellence doesn't always look like you're going to be the best. It's doing your best, and we're not talking about oh, well, you tried, little Johnny, you get a trophy. We're talking about you actually put in the effort. You actually spent the time to invest into your business. You're spending the time to invest in your relationship with God, right? So excellence isn't the fact that you are the best, but it's the fact that you are achieving the most that you can.
At the time.
Exactly.
Specified for where you're at. Not just someone else's best, like Emilio was saying, but just your best.
Right.
Doing what you can in that moment to succeed. Whether that is the smallest thing too. Some people, it's just about taking that first small step. And it might not seem really big to other people, but that small step is a big deal to you in your journey, because to other people it may have taken them a second to do that, but for you, you're okay, I've been worried about this, worried about that, and I finally made the first step to just do it. And then now you're okay, because I did that, I can keep going, keep doing new things, and keep expanding and learning. And I think too, when we're trying to be perfect, it's we're never going to be perfect. That just kind of holds us back from what we're designed and meant to do, because perfectionism is only meant for Jesus and was only achieved by Jesus. So it's we can't ever measure up to that, even if it's we can try to become close to it, but it's not even close, because it's
in a shorter way of saying this, excellence is rooted in obedience, meaning I will do my best with what God gave. Yeah. Now, perfectionism is rooted in control, meaning that I have to do this and make it flawless or else it can't.
Yeah, and I think it's really just a distraction, sometimes from ourselves, sometimes from the enemy, but I think most of the time, we just think that we have to do things completely perfect in all aspects of our lives. We're afraid to show openly or confess our sins, things like that. So it's of course we're not going to want to show our flaws to people, especially if you're doing something new for the first time. If you're starting a business, you're probably afraid to look stupid, or you're afraid to fail in front of people very publicly. But it's most people have, obviously not most people, all people have things that they're ashamed of, embarrassed of, or things that they can never get perfect or right. And it's they won't tell you. But the thing is like when you're starting a business, it's very public and it's very embarrassing if you do fail. So I understand that because it's like people constantly ask us all the time. They're like, how's your business? How's this? How's that? And it's like sometimes it's great, and then sometimes it's like you want to throw a brick at the wall and be like, okay, this sucks.
Sometimes when that question comes around,
Yeah.
you're like it comes in the perfect timing and not the good perfect timing. Meaning like in the time where you're down and out, where you're just like, I want to cry right now.
Or it's
Don't
like,
ask me.
how's your little business doing? Like, when people say stuff like that, just kind of like
Degrading.
just degrading it, just kind of like shocked that you're doing something like that's against the grain or whatever. And it's most of the time too, it kind of comes from people that like you wouldn't expect. But it's like the thing is like we know we're not capable of perfectionism, or perfection, but it's like at the end of the day, it's like we're doing it messy and all, crap and all, like and trying to be as open and honest about it as possible with people so that they can see that this is not just us throwing it together. There's got to be something else in the mix of this. Like, obviously, it's not just Amelia and Olivia, it's God, within us, getting us through it.
Yeah.
Even if it means some days are not going to look the best. Some days we're going to be like crying and like upset and like not know what we're doing, not know which direction we're going. But it's like we're walking every single day one step in alignment with God.
Yeah. Another thing that I wanted to bring up, just to piggyback off of what you were saying, is that excellence it still doesn't mean like all the work is done. Sometimes it just means showing up. Yeah. Because sometimes you're just not gonna have it in you to like push through everything. Sometimes you just need to be there, just to hear what God's telling you, or just to be there to observe what's going on.
Yeah.
Now, perfection can lead to two different things that I'm seeing, right? It could either lead to burnout, where you're never going to want to do that thing again.
Yeah.
Or it'll pull you back. It'll hold you back from going to what you need to, because you're like, it's not ready. I can't move forward with this. I can't move forward at all.
Yeah.
So it's going to either hold you back, or you're just going so far. I need to keep going. I need to keep going. I need to keep going. Yeah. And then your legs give out.
And people lie to you on the internet all the time and tell you that you just need to work harder. And the truth is like, you don't need to just work harder. You need to like go at the pace of like what you're meant to do. So everybody has their own specific goals for their business, goals for their life, whatever. And it's like go at the pace that makes sense for you and what God has called you into. So it's like,
I guarantee you, if you look back at your grade school efforts, like, elementary school through high school, there was always somebody excelling, someone who graduated or got promoted to the next grade sooner than everybody else, or someone got held back, or you got stuck in the middle, or you were just meant to be in the middle.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that you're doing it at the wrong timing, or that that person's better than you, like, as a person, or that person's worse than you as a person. It just means that you have different paces.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think too, like when we focus a lot on how far we're going, like when we kind of just like focus on like, oh, we haven't really moved that far, we haven't really done that much, oh, it doesn't really look that good right now. It's like it distracts us from getting better, because a lot of the times when we're actually like realizing, oh, okay, small improvements, I may not have done everything I wanted to do in that time, but the small improvements, like I finished this, I completed this. It's really like when you're an entrepreneur, it's a mental game, because everything that you do is on you. Nobody's coming to get you. Nobody's coming to save you and tell you it's okay. It's on you.
Because you're the face, you're the boss.
Yeah.
Whatever happens with the client, whatever happens with the customer, you have to make that call.
Yes.
And you also have to be willing to hear someone talk to you in any kind of way they have for you.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean they're going to be
not to say that is not what happens in a 9 to 5, because that definitely can happen in a 9 to 5 where people, it's not up to you, and it is up to you, but and all the pressure's on you and whatever. But it's like when you are an entrepreneur, you are literally single-handedly responsible for your business, your life, how much money you make, where that money goes. Like everything is controlled by you. And if you make one mistake, it's almost like you have to figure it out and almost like kind of build back that piece that you're missing
Because
or
as an
whatever.
employee, someone else can
Yeah.
take on that role to help you out,
Yeah.
to pull things through for that company because that's what they're paid to do.
Yeah.
But when it's just you or just you and your business partner, that's not really going to happen. It's you
Yeah.
and your business partner or just you on your own, but obviously with God. And you have to follow the direction that He gives you because if you don't, that's where the whole thing can fall apart.
Yeah. I think a lot of the times too, it's like when I'm saying it's us, we really just, it's like it's us alone. We really believe it's us alone. Like we really believe, oh, like, and that like you just have to do it by yourself. But in reality, it's like it's not just us alone. Like we have God with us, but we forget about that a lot. And I think as an entrepreneur, you really have to rely on God even more like than if you were just working a job, because it's like you know that paycheck is going to come in every single week at a specific time versus when you're working for yourself, you constantly are in charge of like, okay, now I have to make sure I get paid by this person. I have to do this. I have to invoice this. And it's like, it's a whole thing. And it's like, you have no control because sometimes people could just, there's nothing completely like set in stone for people. And you have to be in charge of your own, like, everything essentially. And it's like, it's annoying after a while. So it's like,
The
you
other
really
thing that
have
you
to
have to
put
think
your trust in God for this
the
sort of
thing that
thing.
you really have to think about is that when you're in those positions where you have to make those really difficult decisions, is the fact that you aren't there just to be there. God placed you in that position for a reason. God allowed you to become the owner of your business. God allowed you to become an entrepreneur for a reason.
Yeah.
Now, you might not make the right decision every single time. You might. Who knows?
Mm-hmm.
And that's not always determining on your knowledge. It's not always determined by by your faith. Sometimes you're human. You're gonna mess up.
Yeah.
And that's something that a lot of people fail to realize. And especially and we constantly bring this up, but social media screws people up.
Yeah.
Like it can be very beneficial. And I'm not gonna lie, it will
It will help your
help
business.
people. It will
100%.
help your business. But there are certain aspects of it that can really destroy things for you.
Yeah.
And you have to be really careful about who you listen to, what you listen to, and actually looking deeper into the information.
Yeah.
Because I look at some things and sometimes I'll see real estate video pop up and cool, oh yeah, you can put this much down. Or you can do it this way. And then you see someone in the comment section saying that's actually illegal and you can get people arrested or something like that.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, you believe everything on social media, you can find yourself in a lot of hurt.
Yeah.
And
It's
there's
just
other,
misleading.
yeah, there's
It's not the truth. Like 99% of the time we've all done this too. It's like you're only showing the highlights of your life. You're not showing the crap that goes on behind the scenes of everything. You're showing like, okay, yeah, I did really well. And we've talked about this before again. It's like everything that you see on social media is like it's manufactured. It's made to look a specific way, even down to the marketing videos and down to like anybody's like business advice or whatever. It's like, yeah, they had to like go and make sure that that looks a certain way. You know what I mean? It's like that doesn't just look that way. Like, do you think their lighting is just set up properly, like from the beginning, and like they know exactly what to say, and it's like they may know the knowledge that they're talking about. They have a really great understanding of it, but everything that they're doing, it took so much like extra effort to figure out and become a certain way to present a video to you in a certain way that makes you think about something and want to do something or like want that. Like social media is very manufactured, but it can be used to help you and propel you onto the next part of like into like helping you get more clients, more customers,
and that's
whatever.
where I also want to bring up the fact that your relationship with God is absolutely vital to everything in your life, especially your business, especially your personal walk. And the reason why is because having a relationship with God, spending time in His Word, spending time in prayer will allow you to have the discernment to figure out what's right and what's wrong. Now, if you rely on your own strength or you rely on your own knowledge, that can send you only so far. But if you rely on the wisdom of God, He's blessing you with, that can completely change things. And when it comes to like certain videos, like say like the one that I like to bring up is the fact that people lie a lot about what they make, and that is a freaking spur for perfectionism because someone will be like, "Yeah, I just made $40,000 on Instagram Threads right now." In reality, they just copied and pasted someone else's thing so they could start making money for it, and they're making maybe like $20 or something like that. Um, but the point is, people see those things and they're like, "I need that. I need exactly that." So they're gonna copy it. Yeah. They're gonna make it perfect like the other person's, and in reality, guess what? They're burning themselves out for no results.
And they're lying, misleading people.
Like we need to say, lying.
Yeah.
Lying is still a sin, buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like you need to actually spend time with God to be able to discern what's going on.
Yeah.
Because if not, shoot, you're relying on your own strength, and that's not what you were called to do. You know, you have to call on the Lord. You have to listen to what He's saying. Sometimes it's not easy to listen to what He's saying because it's not beneficial to you in the immediate moment.
Yeah, and I think we all have something. I think we all have some. Just kick the camera a little bit. I think we all have something that we're stalling on or trying to like push back and not do for the sake of like you just don't want to do it and you don't think you can do it, and it's like I think we have to like hone in on why we don't want it. Like, what is the reasoning for it? Because for me, I'm very like, I just like, I'm like, no, we gotta do it. We gotta do it. It doesn't matter like what it is. And like, if I start wanting to do something like new for a business idea, I'm like, no, we have to. And Amelia's like,
I need to finish this first.
Finish this. I need to make this good. And I'm like, and that's the thing. I think there's a healthy balance too. So we're not saying just like, if you get a new idea, just go and start doing it. It's like, no, finish what you start and make sure that that you do the best that you possibly can, not perfectionism, because obviously you can't ever be perfect. You can't ever do everything perfect.
Not everyone's gonna like what you
do. But do it to the best of your ability. Like do something that you are like finish something to the best of your ability and then move on. Because I can't tell you how many times that is like tripped us up just in business and just like made us feel like, okay, well, this isn't good enough. We can't move on to the next thing that we're doing. And it's like, it becomes like almost like you feel like you don't want to do anything because you can't get something 100%. Like, we're not very good on camera. Like, I feel like we're not very good on camera. I think Emilio's pretty good on camera. But like I just don't like making certain videos. Like, and I used to make a ton of videos all the time, and that was like really hard for me to do. And I would like look like a stick, like kind of just like no movement, and like and it's like sometimes I can even get into that like right now, like when I'm sitting and how I'm.
But that's because it's like a natural conversation. It's just caught on camera.
It's yeah, and it's like it's annoying though for me because it's like I would always just want to be really really good at filming videos and making videos look good. And it's like sometimes people are naturally better at that than others. And that's okay. It's just that, we can do the best of our ability in what we can do, like in what we're supposed to do. Like it doesn't mean that we have to do it like perfect. But it's like right now, it's like look at me right now. Like I'm filming a video and I'm talking on camera, and I mean, some moments are like kind of awkward, but it's like, it's become kind of like better over time. And it's not perfect, but it's become better because I'm not just like, oh gosh, I gotta like not record, I'm not gonna record this because I suck, not do it. It has to be perfect. It's like, dude, we didn't know anything about editing podcasts before we started this. We didn't know anything about camera equipment or lighting or, well, Amelia kind of did a little bit about that stuff. But like for me, I have no idea still. I don't really know. It's not my strong suit, but it's like we had to figure out a lot of this stuff to do this. And even though it's not perfect, even though you may see, oh, some weeks our lighting looks different. Some weeks our, our
because we're trying to
voices sound off because we accidentally forgot to press record on the microphone or stop recording.
When we were in Vancouver, it just crashed and then it deleted my recording.
Yeah, the microphones crashed, but it's like, see, that's the thing. It's like we're doing it even though it's like things may not always be perfect, and it's like we're still gonna put a video out there every week. We're still gonna get it out there and do it, and it's like that's just I want to say obedience.
I think it was like what was his name, Hormozy, and he was like, if you have the right information, if you have good solid content, people will listen and people will completely ignore the fact that your video's blurry, the fact that your audio quality is not good. If you have viable information, that's the main thing that matters.
I mean, obviously your presentation, I'm not going to say like how things look doesn't matter, because obviously it really does. We talked about this before. It really matters. Your branding matters, but it's not everything. Like your information, what you're saying is probably the most important thing. It is the most important thing that you have to offer your audience. So that being said, it's like you don't need to have fancy camera equipment. You don't need to have the best truck to go do your gardening. Like, you know what I mean?
Like, I know some people are doing their podcasts with just their phones and maybe like a little, what's it called, the DJI little lapel mics. That's fine enough. You don't have to have the
like window clean. Like, you don't need to have the best equipment to go window cleaning. You could do it with a squeegee and a Windex or water, soapy water.
It depends on what kind of.
You don't need to have like the best stuff to clean a roof. Like, you can just get up there and start cleaning it with like a brush and you know what I mean?
The point is, you don't have to have the best of the best
because stuff to do something. Like, you need to just do it, and it doesn't matter always how you do it within reason.
If you had to be perfect from the get-go, you would have never learned your hobby. You would have never learned the things that you love. Musicians wouldn't have learned how to play whatever musical instrument it was. They sucked. I could guarantee you 99.9% of people sucked at the thing that they love most.
Yeah.
Like you could love art, that you know exactly how to draw something. No. Maybe some people have like a miraculous gift of some sort.
Yeah.
But for the majority of the time, the majority of the people, that's not the case. You have to develop the skill. That it's not talent, it's skill at this point.
Everything that we've done in our business, we started from nothing. Like, we started with no knowledge, with nothing. Emilio didn't go to school for this. Like, he was a helicopter manufacturer. Like, and a cheesecake baker. And like, I went to college, but like I was a communications major. Like, you know what I mean? Like, none of us, I mean, which kind of, like, you know what I mean? None of this actually, we had to go out and do something and say, we're going to do it and change our circumstance, for the sense of like, we're going to, even though we don't know what we're doing now, we're going to figure it out. And we're going to learn, and we're going to adapt. And
guys, you want to know what our first website was hosted on? System.io. Is it the most amazing hosting platform? Is it the most amazing website builder?
I like System.io. I don't know why you always like.
Because
System.io is great for people.
It's great.
It's free too.
It is. But I'm saying like the caliber of what I can do now versus then.
Yeah.
It's like it didn't matter that I did something like a different hosting platform versus now or versus then. What mattered was that I started pushing out the content, because it wasn't about the hosting platform. It was about the content that was being produced. The content was very much full of just everything that you needed. Like what we were going for. In the beginning, what I'm saying is like we did studying, and we basically were going off the information that we were learning in the very moment. So of course the information was still really good.
Yeah.
Now, was it personalized? Was it based off experience? Did we know every single little detail? Probably not.
Yeah.
Guaranteed not.
Yeah.
But we were still able to get started with things. We were able to push ourselves forward. Like we did the exterior cleaning business. That was on System.io.
Yeah.
I knew what I had to do for my business. Did I know fully how to like build up the website? Not fully. I didn't know how to structure things yet until I learned it, and then I became basically a professional at it. We're keeping that as a it's not about where you are, it's about what you're trying to do. Just showing up is the start. Just showing up is sometimes all you need to do.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to say. Just putting yourself through it is going to get you there. Trying to be perfect at everything, especially right from the beginning, you're going to be extremely disappointed. If I said, "Oh, I'm going to learn the guitar," and I knew every single chord and inversion and scale that there was, shoot, I quit a couple times when I was a kid because I didn't know everything. But guess what? I wanted to keep learning more. I wanted to get better. And so what did I do? I studied it, I developed the skill, and then I became better.
Well, and I also think it holds you back even more from, like, in a year from now, where could you be if you just kept going versus if you stop and then realize that you made a mistake in a year, and then like you're like, oh shoot, gotta redo this, gotta start from scratch, gotta do this from the beginning. And meanwhile, the person that just kept going a year ago, like right now, a year in, is like they're ahead. They're doing great. They're exactly where you could have been. And it's like that's the thing. It's like you don't want to get behind, but you also got to remember God's timing and things. So it's like as long as you are putting in the best, like your best effort, you are gonna succeed because and he's called you into this and it's like you're gonna succeed. The point is like if you start now, where where will you be in the next year? You know, and it's really hard because a lot of people too, it's like they say they make all these excuses, they say all these things, and it's like with God, we have everything we need, right, to do it. And yeah, I understand, like you need to pay for like certain things if you're trying to do a specific like task, whatever. You have to go to you have to go buy something, and it's like I know it may be hard. I know like it's gonna cost something, but guess what? It's like if God called you into it, it's gonna be okay. Like you're gonna figure it out. You're gonna be able to make the money to do that, or figure out a way to like, someone maybe giving something away for free or doing so, like, you know what I mean? Like you got to just jump on the opportunities that are around you because a lot of the times we keep thinking like, or we think that it's not the right opportunity, the right situation, or, oh yeah, like maybe that guy giving out like the, free squeegee or like free dish soap, like or something like that isn't like actually like able to help us make money or something, or we can't use that because it's not like what we thought it was gonna be, which that was a terrible example, but you know what I'm trying to say. Like it's the stuff that may be around you. You can use the stuff that may be around you to help you in your business and actually help you start doing something. Like there take that example is crap. But I'm saying like for instance, like you go on YouTube, you can learn tons of free information just from people like on the internet and like use that to help you do the like there's tons of things everywhere to help you and it doesn't just have to be like this crazy extravagant thing.
Yeah, and one point that I started thinking of as you were talking was that when Jesus called the disciples, they didn't say, "Hold on, Jesus. Hold on, Rabbi. Let me finish what I'm doing, and then I'll go follow you." They immediately went with them. They said, "Okay, I'm following you." Mm-hmm. Maybe they had a little bit of like, "Do I do this?"
Yeah.
But they didn't just say, "Hold on, let me finish fishing. Let me go finish whatever I'm doing before I go do this." They said, "Okay, you're calling me into it. I'm doing it." They
pushed through their doubts. Mm-hmm. And like that's something where I think we tend to doubt. And I've been dealing with that like a lot, just like doubting. And it's like I've realized that like it's doubting is something that's natural, but it's like what you do through your doubt that matters because it's like even what's the scripture? God, I believe, but help me with my unbelief. Mm-hmm. And it's like that's how I'll think a lot of the time we feel. It's like we believe, we want to believe, and we try really hard to believe, but it's like, God, like, help me with my unbelief because right now I don't know what to do. And it's like, I don't know where we're going. I don't know how we're going to do this. I don't know how I'm going to make the money to do this, but
You called me into it.
You called me into it.
Which means that there's a plan.
And you're going to see me through it. And it's like the doubt, it's natural, but what do we do about it? What do we do to keep going? What do we do to say, God, even though I doubt, even though I want this, I have doubts, but God help me with my unbelief. And it's like I feel like God will truly just like take away a lot of that fear of like, I can't do this.
Because once you declare it, Lord, I believe, but help me with my unbelief. Once that's declared, he's like, okay, you're giving it to me. Because remember that phrase, it's like, it's not God's to take, it's for you to give up.
Yeah.
And it's like, you're giving that up. You're giving yourself up so that he could replace what you need.
Yeah. And I think too, it's so important because I think a lot of times people will tell you it's not okay to doubt. It's not okay to be scared. It's not okay to not completely just trust, because as humans, we like to see it with our own eyes before we start believing it. And it's like, that's natural, but don't feel crazy for having like, some reservations. It's what you do though with that. It's what you choose to do with that afterwards. That is like, okay, even though I don't know, even though I'm kind of scared, I'm gonna trust God. I'm gonna push through, and God's gonna get me through it. And I'm gonna watch as my unbelief starts to become belief, and God actually sees me through this moment.
Some moments are gonna feel absolutely impossible, but remember, like everybody always says, you'll hear it almost in every single church, nothing is impossible with God. Mm-hmm. And think about when Jesus was walking on water and he called Peter out on the water. Mm-hmm. That's impossible in our world today. Yeah. Without, obviously, miraculously, with faith, yeah, it's possible. But it's something that's impossible in our own logic. Yeah. To walk out on water, not only for Jesus, the Son of God, God as man, for him to walk, sure, he's God. Yeah. But for Peter to walk out in faith on the water.
Well, and Peter asked God, Jesus, he asked Jesus, he made a calling saying, if it's truly you, right? Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to skip through the huge description, and we're going to start from Matthew 14, verse 25. Shortly before dawn, Jesus went out to them walking on the lake. When the disciples saw him walking on the lake, they were terrified. Mind you, there's wind, there's rain probably. The water is constantly rocking the boat.
It's like the deadliest catch.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. And they're like, it's a ghost, they said, and cried out in fear. But Jesus immediately said to them, take courage, it is I. Do not be afraid. And Peter replied, Lord, if it's you, tell me to come to you on the water.
That's what I was trying to say.
And so you were right. And Jesus said, come, he said. Then Peter got down out of the boat, walked on the water, and came towards Jesus. But when he saw the wind, he was afraid and began to sink, crying out, Lord, save me. And immediately Jesus reached out his hand and caught him, saying, you of little faith, he said, why did you doubt?
Yeah.
And so when they climbed into the boat, the wind died down, and then the story opens up even further.
Yeah.
But it's like, sometimes you cry out to God, and he calls you to do the impossible, and the excellence wasn't the fact that Peter perfectly understood what he was going to do, because that's kind of crazy to think about walking on water. But, when you're with the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords, everything's possible. So he walked out on the water being called out, knowing very well that if it was just without faith, without God, without Christ, nothing would work.
Yeah.
And then when he started focusing his mind elsewhere on the things that scared him, the perfectionism, meaning like, oh, this isn't right because there's a storm.
Mm-hmm.
He started to sink. You know.
Yeah, well, not even that. It's the fact that you're walking on water as a human.
No, I
like
know.
that's not
No, that's
that's
what I
not
mean. So
normal.
it's like sometimes in your business, like sometimes businesses will fail without God,
Yeah.
like entirely.
Yeah.
And it's like they're doing the impossible.
Well, and I
And
like that. I mean, I like that. That's what I was trying to say. He asked God. He said, God, if this is you,
call me out to the
call
water.
me out to the water, to the water, and basically to walk on the water. So it's like he literally asked God for that, and then even though he doubted, God still got him through it. God still
Called him
saved
back
him.
into the boat.
Immediately he saved him. And I think too that's hard to grasp because there's like the immediate, like in the immediate moments of like we just want things immediately. And our story isn't always going to be the same of like we're not going to be on a lake about to drown, walking on water about to drown, and of course like if you're and Jesus is gonna save you right then and there, and like that's not the same story. Like Jesus saved him right then and there in the immediate, and he was with him right then and there in the immediate. And it's like we want the immediate, but it's not always gonna be the immediate. Like there's gonna be situations where it's like it's gonna require time. It's gonna require faith. And faith is something that is, I think, the hardest thing to grasp for people because it's, like I said, it's the things unseen. It's hope in the things unseen. It's belief in the things unseen. So it's like we don't know what we're gonna be doing in our business completely. We don't know what tasks we have to face and what situations we may face, but it's faith that God, I don't know, but you're going to get me through it. Like, God, I don't really know what this is going to look like, but you're going to save me. You're going to walk with me through it. Just like how he saved Peter when he was walking on water. And I know the story's a little bit kind of like, the point is that we got to just trust God, even when we don't know what our circumstances are really looking like. And it's difficult. And just having the faith that we're gonna be able to walk on the water with him, and what seems impossible will become possible through him. So it's just one of those things where you have to develop the faith and push past the doubt. And it's not going to be an overnight thing, but it's something where when you have faith, things start to change for sure.
When it's all on your own strength, it's gonna marginally stay the same, or if anything, it's gonna plummet. But when it's invested in God, things will change for the better. Yeah, there might be more spiritual attacks, and I think that's a big topic that we should talk about next. Is the spiritual attacks that happens as entrepreneurs, because it happens like every single day.
And pursuing the call of God on your life, like what happens, like what you need to be aware of and what you can do to help fight it, because and the types of prayers to use to combat that, I think is like
how to pray, how to use
important.
scripture.
Yeah, because honestly, like we face this on the daily, and it's something that's not really talked about too much is like spiritual warfare. And spiritual warfare in your business is definitely a thing. And especially when you're pursuing God in your business.
Yeah, because if you weren't pursuing God, there's no point for the enemy to attack.
I can't tell you, like, we literally, I feel like the moment we started, like, really going after God, I feel like things started to get harder. And it's like, it's harder. Like, it is harder. But it's like, and I don't want to just say it's like, it's super easy.
Like, there were certain things that were almost like, I never knew this before. I didn't even learn it, but somehow I know it. But then there's the other parts that are like,
there's good moments. There's really great moments. And it, like, God sees you through, like, everything. But it doesn't mean that you're not going to be attacked. Like, it doesn't mean that the enemy isn't gonna, because he's obviously, you're working for God. You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't like that. He doesn't want you to be talking about this stuff. He doesn't want you to be meeting up with Martha and explaining your faith to her. Like, you know what I mean? At like when you're doing like a job for her. Like, like I don't know. That's the thing.
The enemy wants to take everyone down with him because he knows where he's going and he's going to be lonely.
Yeah.
So he's going to do everything that he can to have a buddy to go spend an eternity in damnation.
Yeah.
So he's going to do everything by any means to stop you.
Yeah.
Especially if you are following God.
Yeah,
especially
but we're not going to let him.
Exactly.
And we have to find the right tools, I think, to use as like just weapons. And your weapon will be scripture.
Sometimes worship is your warfare, and you worship in everything. Your ventures, in your life, in your speech to other people. Yeah. You're worshiping him with overall your life. You're worshiping him in everything. So when it comes down to your business, you're worshiping. When it comes down to singing to him, you're worshiping. When it comes down to praying to him, you're worshiping. Yeah. Make everything. It's not just one specific point in your life. Make everything about the adoration and the worship of God, because things will change that way. And even though the enemy is going to attack you, your worship, your prayer is a huge weapon against him. But anyways, I think we should probably close it off here because check out our website. There's a bunch of different resources for a bunch of different things, and they are very, very helpful. So we just want to thank you guys for giving us this opportunity to just keep talking to you guys. All right then. Bye. Bye.